Hey everyone, today we're going to look at EverQuest Next Landmark Alpha. But first off, I figured I should just explain what Landmark actually is, because a lot of people seem to have it a bit mixed up so far. So EverQuest Next Landmark and EverQuest Next are two completely different things. EverQuest Next will be the next EverQuest MMO in the traditional sense of the word. Most probably won't be out for at least another year. EverQuest Next Landmark, on the other hand, to put it simply, is pretty much Minecraft. And I know before people lose their shit at what I just said, yes, EverQuest Next Landmark and Minecraft are completely different, but that's just the easiest way to explain it to people at first before going into detail. So yes, Landmark is an open world MMO. It will have combat and monsters and weapons and stuff like that. However, its main focus is on gathering resources, crafting, and building amazing things. The idea is that the developers are giving Landmark players pretty much all the tools that they use to build EverQuest Next, and they let the players go nuts. Then with all that information that they gather from whatever happens in Landmark, they can put that towards making EverQuest Next an even better game. Okay, so now that's out of the way, I want to quickly show how to get everything you need to start building things with the least amount of hassle when you first start in the alpha currently. Obviously, this is alpha, and a lot of this stuff is subject to change, so just keep that in mind. Alright, when you first drop into the world, it can be pretty overwhelming. You usually spawn close to these spires, which are an awesome throwback to classic EverQuest, by the way, and just like back then, they're used for transportation. So these spires, they also have a stone forge at them. So if you run over and click on it, you can see all the things that you can craft. We're going to be rushing the selection tool because I think it's the most important tool to have when building, and you don't get it for free, you have to unlock it. Okay, so in order to craft the selection tool, we're going to need to craft a copper pick, a bronze pick, an iron pick, and then as well as a copper reinforced saw table, but we'll get into the saw table a bit later. Okay, if you run up and click on the big blue crystal, you can see there are two servers and a whole bunch of these sub-realms. More servers are going to be added over time. In fact, I'm pretty sure a third server's already been added since I took this footage. Now you'll notice on the sub-realms they have tier 1, 2, and 3 next to their name. So currently in alpha, the resources are split up into tiers. This is intended to be changed eventually, so all materials will be on all the realms. But as of right now, we want a tier 1 zone because we're just starting out. For the copper pick, we're going to need 10 elemental copper, 1,000 plain wooden logs, and 10 copper ingots. If you look on your map, you can see the kind of nodes scattered about the world. The copper are the orange patches, so head out to one of those. So one copper ingot takes 100 copper ore. So to get 10 ingots, we need 1,000 ore. The elemental copper you will get as you mine the copper, it just has a lower drop rate. You should have more than enough by the time you finish. Majority of the time, there's going to be a tin vein at the end of your copper vein. You're going to need this for the bronze pick, so make sure you mine all of that up as well. Then finally, the plain wooden logs, just from cutting down trees. Currently, there's no way to harvest plants, so when you chop down trees, you'll get all of the resources from plants as well, just as a heads up. So now that we have all our materials, head back to the stone forge at the spire, smelt your copper ingots, and then craft your copper pick. So now we need to go straight back out to get stuff to upgrade to our bronze pick. For the bronze pick, we're going to need our copper pick, 15 plain wooden planks, 45 tourmaline, 15 elemental tin, 5 burled wooden planks, and 8 tin ingots. Let's start off with tourmaline. This is a gemstone, and I've only really found it in the sandy areas around the spire on certain tier 1 zones. That's not to say that it doesn't spawn in areas that don't have sand, I'm sure it does. It looks like this kind of reddish purple pinky colour. I'm not sure if I got lucky when I mined this, but I only needed one node before I had more than enough for my pick. Okay, so next we need tin ingots and elemental tin. I mentioned earlier that tin is usually found at the end of copper veins, and I find that this is the most reliable way to find it. It might take you a little bit to get the elemental tin, or you might have already farmed enough copper and just already have it. You'll need copper for other things along the way, so it's win-win. You can't have too much copper. And then finally we need plain wooden planks and burled wooden planks. So along the same system as ore and ingots, it takes 100 wood to make a plank. This means we need 1500 plain wood and 500 burled wood. Now, burled wood seems to have a bit of a reputation on the forums because you tend to need quite a lot of it for a lot of the recipes along the way. It's the equivalent to elemental ore, so it'll drop off any tree, just at a lower rate. Let's just say by the time you get 500 burled wood, you're going to have more than enough plain wood. I would recommend farming the larger trees. They tend to give you a lot more burled wood than the smaller ones. So once you've farmed up all your wood, you need to find a saw table. Now, I mentioned us needing a copper reinforced saw table earlier. You can make your own table, and I would recommend doing so, but in order to use it, you need to place it down in your own claim. And you most probably won't have your claim yet, or if you do, there's a chance that it might be in a higher tier zone like mine is, or it's just really far away. But it's okay, because you can use other people's saw tables if you find them. Alright, so turn your wood into planks and craft your bronze pick. So we're almost there now. We just need to make an iron pick. We will need 3 burled wooden planks, 45 aquamarine, 15 elemental iron, 30 plain wooden planks, and 15 iron ingots. So you already know how to get the burled wood, that's just a matter of farming more trees. The plain wooden planks you'll probably already have enough wood for, because you took so long farming 500 burled wood. The aquamarine and the iron, I would recommend moving to a tier 2 zone. Aquamarine, again, I had luck finding it in the sandy areas around the spires. I got the amount I needed from 1 or 2 nodes. Iron's pretty much like copper in the tier 2 zones, it's everywhere. Farm it up, you'll need 1500 iron ore and 15 elemental iron. You'll most probably get the ore before you get the elemental iron. And then the same way that the tin veins are at the end of the copper veins, there are silver veins at the end of the iron veins. Unfortunately, until we create our iron pick, we can't actually mine the silver yet. So once you've got all your iron and you farmed more burled wood, go find another saw table and a forge and craft your iron pick. So now it's time to gather stuff for the selection tool itself. We're going to need 30 elemental iron, 10 topaz, and 30 iron ingots. So topaz is another gemstone, and it can be found in tier 2 zones as well. It has this kind of amber coloring to it, and again, you only need 10, so you'll get more than enough from a single node. As for the iron, the elemental iron ore, it's just a matter of going back out and farming more iron. However, now that you have the better pick, you can also mine the silver, which is at the end of all those nodes. Make sure you get all this stuff because it's used for the next pick along in progression, but we're not going to be covering that in this video. Alright, so head back once you've gathered all your things and craft your selection tool. Once we've got this, we can start looking for a claim. Claims can be pretty hard to find at the moment because the servers are very congested. However, more servers are on the way, and if you're having trouble finding a claim, you can still gather stuff and still progress your tool tree while you wait. Some other things I would recommend crafting early on are your own stone forge, a copper reinforced saw table like I mentioned earlier, and also a bronze grappling hook. If you plan on building anything high, this thing is going to be an invaluable tool. It's amazing. All 3 of these things use tier 1 materials. The hardest is probably the grappling hook because you'll need a whole bunch of tin, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, so now that we have the selection tool, what do we do with it? Well, at the start of this video, you would have seen me using it to build the top of my tower, to get an idea how it can be used to create. But that's not the only thing it's useful for. The first thing you're probably going to want to do with it is use it to clear out some terrain so you have a better platform to build from. By selecting chunks of land and hitting delete, you can easily clear areas in a nice, neat and controlled way. Always remember, if you make a mistake, you can Control Z just like in most programs to undo, and Control Y to redo. Not only can you delete the selected area, but you can also use the heal tool or the fill tool in your selection as well. Now another really important factor about the selection tool is the template system. Currently, because this is an alpha, things go wrong and the devs need to wipe all the voxel data. This is just what happens in alpha, it's just something you get used to. However, this is not as bad as it sounds, because using the selection tool you can save off your creations into a template. By selecting over the structure, then clicking on the flag tab on the left of the screen, going down to the template button, hit the create new template, name it, and hit save. Now when you load up this template, provided you have the resources for it, you can place it down anywhere you like. This is not only useful for saving your work, but also for a little detailed job, like these pillars here on my tower. Instead of making these things over 8 times each, I can just make them once, save them off as a template, and then paste them in the appropriate spots. I use the same method to create the entire stairwell for my tower. Anyway guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it gave you a bit of insight into what EverQuest Next landmark is. Hopefully it helps out some new players who are just starting off. If you did like this video, please do consider subscribing to my channel, as I will be producing some more EverQuest Next content in the future, hopefully a lot more. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.